Well, in the aftermath of the inauguration of the 46th President of the United States, President Joe Biden has signed an executive order revoking the travel ban placed by the former administration on Nigeria and other countries. Now, the reversal is part of a 10-day onslaught of executive actions intended to overturn key Trump's policies without waiting for Congress, on topics ranging from the COVID-19 pandemics to climate change and criminal justice. The new president instructed the State Department to restart processing visas for people from countries like Libya, Iran, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, Venezuela, and Nigeria. Now, joining me to discuss this is Global Affairs Analyst Nweke. Thank you so much for joining me at this point. Looking at the travel ban, first of all, let me have your thoughts on the lifting of the travel ban on some countries and Nigeria.
Thank you so much for having me. And since this is my first encounter with you this new year, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
To you and your viewers. As a matter of fact, the Nigeria actually came at the later part of this whole, travel ban saga. The original countries that were banned were actually Syria, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, and the rest of them. So it was during the second batch in 2019, I believe, January, that Nigeria, along with 5 other countries, actually joined. Now, the significant thing about this ban, which was why it was indeed nicknamed Muslim travel ban, is the fact that majority of the countries, that are included in the list of the ban are actually majority Muslim countries. And this is one of the reasons that, quite a number of people, highly placed people as well, actually consider this, a discriminatory ban, one that is, actually driven by religious and racial hatred.
So in all of this now, looking at the fact that these countries have been included, the ban has been lifted in these countries, how important is this to the health and well-being of the United States of America? How important is migrants in the economy of America?
Well, we need to first and foremost look at the timing of the repealing of this Muslim ban by the new president, Joe Biden. Now, the same day that Joe Biden was actually, inaugurated, within hours of his inauguration, he actually, repealed this ban with an executive order. What that tells us is that it is very, very significant to the United States because, for a start, they believe that it is a dent on the image of the United States. It, contravenes Americans' values of open, welcoming democracy built, like you alluded to, on the sweat and the blood of immigrants. So the wrong message that America is at war with Islam has to be immediately, countered by any action which Trump had taken, which also fueled, some resentment against America, by these Muslim countries. That's one. 2, the ban also undermines America's national security because to some extent it jeopardized the global network of alliances. Some of these countries that were included in the ban are actually global partners of America in the crime against, in the fight against Muslim extremism and all of that. But the ban actually, touched on that in very negative way. Thirdly, but perhaps, the most important one is that it was considered inhumane by Biden and the rest because it separated loved ones, families, inflicting pains to families and all of that. And it also meant that to some extent, some of the damages done by the ban are irreparable, but Biden feels that now the time has come to actually limit the damage, but also do some sort of reputation management for the United States. So all of these reasons combined, he felt that the time is now, and he took swift action.
But what about the implications on the security of the American people? And of course, looking at the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on world economies, our countries are closing their borders to everyone so they know how to, they can contain the virus and flatten the curve. Isn't this putting America in the eye of the storm?
Very, very good question. Because one thing that has to be made clear is this. The lifting of the ban does not suddenly mean that securing America has become easier. You know, that's not the idea. The idea is that rather than a collective policy affecting a whole set of people or region or country, Joe Biden and his administration is going back to individual assessment of plans, of visa applications. So what that means essentially is that there will continue to be security checks on individuals who are applying for American visa, and where people pose any threat, of course, they will be weeded out. That's one. And then coming straight to the issue of COVID-19 and travel restrictions, those are two separate things. There are protocols, international protocols that have been put in place. Each country has its own protocol as well. So, for example, if you travel into a country, you need to observe, some sort of isolation, carry out some tests either at point of departure or on arrival. All of those will be in place, and all of those being in place means that no country is actually treated less, humanely than the other.
All right, so with this lifting of the ban now, will this make the processing of immigrants into America easier, or will it be harder?
It's neither going to be easier nor harder. What it will now be is that there will be fair, objective criteria for assessing individuals. There will continue to be sharing of information between countries, between America and the security forces of different countries. And Joe Biden has also announced that within 120 days, the U.S. will have a review of the current, vetting processes and information sharing, along with, some recommendations for revising them. So what that means essentially is that they would look at what had transpired since 2017, when Trump instituted the ban, and up till this moment, and see areas that need to be reviewed. But essentially, the national security of the United States of America continues to be paramount. Threats to America, of course, will be addressed, and there will continue to be rigorous, individualized vetting system. So that's essentially what it is. And by doing that, they would have upheld America's values with, discriminatory ban into America removed out of the equation.
All right, looking at the countries now, Libya, Iran, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, Venezuela, Nigeria, amongst other countries, most of these countries are facing serious crises as regards security. Like Nigeria is facing the issue of the Boko Haram insurgency, amongst other things, and some other countries like that. How will this ban, lifting of the ban, help aid the relationship between America and these countries, such that there is a symbiotic relationship that will help both countries?
Well, I think the smart approach that Joe Biden appears to have put in place now will do two basic things. Number one, it strengthened the relationship of the United States with some of these countries that you have named. Let me take Nigeria as a specific example. Nigeria remains a very critical partner of the United States in the fight against terrorism, both economically also and other social aspects. The fact that there is Boko Haram in Nigeria actually could be seen from the perspective of Nigeria actually adding to its capacity on experience in fighting, insurgents. So that doesn't make Nigeria more dangerous than any other country where Boko Haram has no operation. Rather, it has empowered Nigeria more. So I think at the end of the review that the Biden administration has announced that they would do and deliver its verdict within 120 days, I believe that they will be able to develop new instruments that will facilitate the individualized vetting. There have also been some criteria given to Nigeria in terms of changes that need to be made to some of its operations. For example, improvements in passport application and issuance, and so on and so forth. All of those will now come on board and objectively reviewed and new policies drawn out.
So it's safe to say America will have a lot of people trooping into its shores quite soon. Thank you very much, Collins Nweke, for talking to us on this development.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.